その髪型かっこいいと思うよ私は。ちょっと乱れてる感じなんか頑張って無造作に見えるような。
What the fuck are you doing? Are you professional or not? What don't you fucking understand? What don't you get about it? Give me a fucking answer!
Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of 2FAST2MOVIE. I'm your host Abraham, and with me is my co-host, as always, Ben, here to talk about another woo-wiggity-woo fantastic episode of Attack on Titan. Crazy stuff is happening. We're not learning a lot, but the stuff that we are learning is very, very impactful. Can I say that word?
I'd say
changing
so.
a lot.
It's, again, for me, this episode is much more hearkening on the emotional beats of the information given to us, because in actuality, this episode didn't actually make great strides in the plot like previous episodes. It really just gave us the situation that they've been in and has allowed us to kind of sit in it and really internalize. So they're really taking their times with these beats, and they're really making sure that we understand the emotional severity of the situation, specifically with whatever happened to Eren.
Yeah, completely different character. It is stunning how he can go from blushing at the sunset to lifting up Hange in a jail cell. That's a striking difference if I ever saw one, and 4 years is all it took. We're going to talk about all that and more on this episode of 2FAST2MOVIE. So, before we begin, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell for notifications, because we post videos on the channel every single week, so you will always have a reason to come on back. And spoilers ahead for this episode of Attack on Titan, titled A Sound Argument. So we start the episode by filling in a lot more details that we missed in the last episode. First, we learn that Zeke has sent the Osmobitos to be allies with Paradis. Now, if you remember, the Osmobitos were featured in a few episodes back. They were the clan from the east, and we saw one of them helping Udo and taking the blame for spilling wine on their kimono. We also find out that Mikasa is a descendant of this bloodline, but it is only brought up as a means for the Osmobitos to begin mining iceberg stones, a rare mineral only found in Paradis. The last thing we learn is the terms for Zeke's plan. Zeke intends to use a test run of the rumbling as a way of scaring the world while he conducts his real plan. Whatever that is, we still don't know. And in order for that to happen, the Titan of Royal Blood and the founding Titan must be passed on. In other words, Historia must begin bearing as many children as possible, and she will inherit the Beast Titan, as will her children and their children, etc., etc. This whole flashback is shown as Eren sits in his jail cell, and as he goes up to lift Hange, as I said earlier, and threatens her, lighting up his Titan powers, we can't help but think, what the hell happened to Eren? That's where we got to start, and it's probably where a lot of our time is going to go. We just talked about this. Eren is like a completely different even Jean, Connie, Mikasa's a bit, she still believes.
And it's well within her character too. This is
Eren.
It would be foolish to say, and we even have shots of it, this really cute moment where they both lock eyes on the back of that train cart, and there's just this moment of just like, oh, they love each other.
Yeah, they totally do. It's so clear.
It's you'd have to be a fool not to notice that after all these years of watching this show. Mm-hmm. And it's one of the most touching moments. And not only that, we see so much evidence of Eren still being the sweet, sweet boy that we've known him as for the entire beginning seasons. There's so many moments of just like, I love my friends. I really care about you. And even him telling Misaka that's okay for her to show the family crest sigil that we knew about way back in season one.
Yeah.
It never got touched up on till now. We're going to talk about that later. But he is the only reason why she feels comfortable showing that.
Mm-hmm.
And we go from this person who would never bring his friends into the line of fire to someone who laughed when Sasha died. Granted,
Yeah.
I feel like
There's precedent for that. We have
Yeah.
seen him laugh when he cries. The last time that happened was when Hannes died. And it was more hysteria than anything else. And I'm inclined to believe that that's still the case here.
I think it is. I think that the Eren that we see now is a broken man.
When he was in Marley, I could totally see that. But even the switch between Marley and Paradise, the 2 episodes that we've been apart from Eren, is another striking contrast. Because on Marley, he was very stoic. He was calm. He had these dead, lifeless eyes. Now there's conviction. Now there's like anger. Now it's like grown beyond that. So I think we are seeing some kind of metamorphosis from Eren. I just don't know where it started and how it started.
It's steep, and I will say briefly, broken does not mean loss of motivation. I think that his entire belief system, whatever happened prior to the end of these 4 years where we have the attack on Marley, something changed his entire outlook on the way that the world works. We have no idea what it is, but whatever it was, we know that it was big and it happened fast.
Yeah.
It had to have been an almost instant situation, because first year out of the 4 years in this time skip, he hates Zeke's plan.
Yep.
Second year, hates Zeke's plan. Third year, still hates Zeke's plan. We have no idea what happens in year 4.
Yeah, and you're right. It is a very steep change, and we have 8 more episodes left, and this is where we're already at. I'm worried about the future. I kind of want to also talk about Zeke a little bit, because you just mentioned him. Zeke's plan, there's definitely precedent for it in like modern events. Like we were talking earlier about the Cold War, the idea of scaring off people with your weaponry, with your power. That is something that we have seen in history. But I was saying that it is insane, and you were not.
Yeah.
I totally agree with what you're saying, and I'll let you talk later. I'll let you talk.
Yeah.
But I'm only saying it's just crazy how we got here. That we are now openly talking about using Titan power as a means of like world domination or like world, not domination, but like world presence, like putting yourself on the stage of the world.
Okay.
That's where we're at now.
I have a big counterpoint for this. That is exactly what Marley has been doing for hundreds of years.
I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the fact that we're even talking about it now.
It is batshit crazy, but the fact is that this is the world that was built for us, and this is the sandbox that this is all playing out in.
Oh yeah.
The fact is that the only reason why Marley has stayed a power force is because they monopolized they monopolized the 9 Titans, and they mastered Titan warfare.
Mm-hmm.
So the big question is when the Paradisians, is that what we're going to call the I actually kind of like Paradisians for the Paradise people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like Parisians, but it's Paradisians. When the Paradisians get their ability to play on the same level as Marley, and they've already, just in what Eren did, proved that they could smack down Marley's military in an instant. Because not only are they capable of fighting with Titan warfare, but they can counteract it so much easier than every single military out there.
Right.
They can prove that Marley is weak, and in my opinion, I think Zeke's right with this kind of approach. I don't think that causing the full rumbling is a good idea, but demonstrating the power. Maybe let's not go a Hiroshima route. Let's just go a bunch of fucking massive titans stand at the outside of the island to fucking scare people away of just like, oh yeah, they have the rumbling.
That's what it sounds like they're going to do. Like, they said test run. So I think the only logical thing is, like, you would use, like, maybe, like, a little bit of, like, one of the outer walls, like the outer district, like one of those. Or maybe break off, like, a few titans. You wouldn't, like, unleash everything.
Yeah.
'Cause that's your trump card. But you'd be like, we could do it at any moment. Hover your hand over the button.
And honestly, the fact is unless... Actually, speaking of the industrial timeline, it is potential for someone to have been coming up with nukes at this time. But unless we see other sort of mass destructive warfare enter the playing field, I think Zeke's plan actually works.
Yeah.
And
but that's
given the direness of their situation, I think that it's actually a valid move.
But it's a caveat. It's like, it's not actually the plan. That's only part of it. It seems that this is only being used as a deterrent while Zeke is doing something else.
I will say, there's two things that concern me about Zeke.
Mm-hmm.
The first of which is he is not of Paradise. He knows all this information that was passed down to him from his ancestors when they wanted to groom him to be the leader of the resistance.
Mm-hmm.
And potentially he gained other information from other pieces and research that he did within his 13 years. But there's a line back in, I think it's the second episode of this season, where he tells the would-be inheritor of the Beast Titan that once he gets his memories, he will know exactly what burden he will be passing on. So there could be something more to not just the Beast Titan, but potentially even the predecessors.
Mm-hmm.
And all the memories that come from there that could lead in. We still do not know the full extent of Zeke's plans, and I
still don't know anything about Zeke.
It's just, I have no reason to believe that he has Paradise's best interest at heart.
Yeah, we're just like Levi and the rest of the scouts. We have no reason to trust Zeke, so why would we? Let's also talk quickly about the Iceburst Stone. That is a plot point that kind of came out of nowhere a bit. I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense because, like, of course, that's what they use to do their 3D maneuver gear. Like, I guess it's like carbon dioxide or something.
Have we ever had a reference to this back in the day?
We've had reference to the gas, but not how they get the gas. Maybe this is something in the manga. I'm actually not sure. If it was delved upon earlier. But regardless, the fact that is now the caveat for the Azumabitos to be involved with Paradise is very troubling, because later on in the episode we learn that the Azumabitos only want to monopolize the Iceburst Stone, and that is their main reason for supporting them in this time. At a later point, they try to reach out to other people, but to no avail. And it seems that the Azumabitos are going to be their only option, which means that they're kind of being pushed into the war. If we're thinking about that, how could that play a role? If it play a role in Eren's 180? Because it seemed like for the 3 years, they were grasping at straws trying to find another way, and they couldn't. Well, and that is what Hange is talking to Eren about in the jail cell.
It seems that, one thing that I definitely think we should call attention to is how non-ceremonious the Azumabito bloodline turned out to be. Yeah. Specifically for me, like, that feels like it should be a major plot point, that there is an heiress to a royal family that has been a main character the entire time, and it gets very glossed over non-ceremoniously. And it does make sense. These people are not at heart good allies. However, we do have evidence that they are at the least Eldian sympathizers.
I don't know if they are. I think they may have been at one point, but it seems to me that this is completely a financial interest for them.
Well,
now at the least.
The only reason why I'm saying that is because we see their leader earlier on when wine is spilled on her.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like a completely selfless act.
Yeah, that could have, it didn't count for anything. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
and that was after this point. That was after they had already become allies. So things may have changed the ultimate for the clan.
Well, one of the things that I'm the big issue with this is that they provided a sense of hope. And unfortunately, that was not able to come to fruition. I think that it kind of pushed them back towards the war. However, they should have been able to still explore. And there was so much talk about we have to show people outside of this island that we're good. And the idea here is that they're eventually going to set up their infiltration base in Marley, which we've seen evidence of at the end of the first episode.
Yeah, that's probably how Eren that's probably where Eren split up. Because I was thinking, it doesn't make sense for Eren to split up while everybody else is on Paradise. If they set up this base in year 4, and then he went off, so they still exist in the same continent, but they're like in different places, that makes a little bit more sense.
I think that is more than likely the situation that we're going to see. And personally, I don't see the Asmavito situation being a major issue in the long run. I think that it is more of just an unfortunate happenstance and something to show us that they tried other options. Here was their other option, but it was just people looking to take advantage of a very vulnerable country.
Yeah. That's kind of the situation that they're in. Before we talk about the preview and conclude the episode, we got to talk about one thing that you and I both noticed. Only because they put the most sinister music cue when it happened. Niccolo is like serving wine to some of the MPs, I think. I think maybe one of them was like a judge at one point. I'm not sure who they were exactly.
They're some of the scummy Paradisian higher-ups that just...
that shit all over Historia for being like low.
Yeah, they're the garbage people that they never cleaned house of in season 3. Who I was like, wait, we still have people like this in government here? Yep. You guys did like this whole government purge, and you still have these assholes here?
Yeah. But regardless, Niccolo is one of the servants is called for more wine, so he goes downstairs to like a cellar or something, where Niccolo is working, and he suspiciously holds up a bottle of wine and looks dead at the camera and goes, "This one?" Like holding up the wine, and then a violin music swells and then it cuts off. They're poisoning the wine.
Oh yeah.
Those guys are dead.
I mean, at least it happens to people that we definitely don't like, but and are like unnamed characters. However, the issue with this is currently Zeke is captured in the woods.
Yeah.
And a lot of Marleyans are currently being held at gunpoint or in some sort of, at least under some sort of watch from, I believe it's the military police.
No, that's it's everybody. It's the regiment. It's the scout. It's everybody. Nobody trusts.
Oh, I thought that they made a specific thing about the scouts not being part of that.
Maybe. That might be true.
Yeah, because I remember when Levi Squad is talking and they're having the whole debate about Eren, they have that line of just like, I can't believe that they cut off the volunteers.
Yeah, but is that the scouts?
That is... Because the line specifically was that they wouldn't have told them because the scouts and the volunteers work so closely together.
Oh, I did
Yeah.
not catch that. Okay, so
That
that
was
might
the
be
specific.
true.
Yeah, so I don't think the scouts are involved as far as this. So we are seeing kind of that schism once again forming between the scouts and the other branches of military.
Right, but I guess now in the opposite direction.
Yep. It's
That's crazy. Okay, that's fun.
yeah.
But we're gonna see something's being set in motion.
I
They're
have a
clearly setting up
feeling that it's actually probably Zeke's plan on this one.
He's casually like reading his book. He's just
He's
like
very chill. He's kept his composure. He's not really worried about his situation.
that means he's up to something.
Yes, it does. Yeah, again, we do not stand Zeke in this
Nope.
chat.
We do not. Let's finish and cap off the review by talking about the preview. In the next episode of Attack on Titan, Gabby and Falco escape from prison and head into the woods. Later in the preview, they are seen having dinner, and I have Google and I looked this up, so it is true. They are having dinner with Sasha's father, and the episode is titled "Deceivers." So that's gonna be great. Gabby talking with the person who's the father of the person that she shot.
Yep.
That's a tough combo to have.
We see in that preview that Gabby looks completely shook and terrified the entire time. She doesn't understand the actual dichotomy of the situation, and I think that we're going to be, oh wow, that is a terrible irony. She had a very
poetic.
similar expression on her face when Reiner was describing Sasha as the woman that just ate a potato raw right in front of him.
Oh, so you think that they're gonna find out,
I think
and
she's
they're
going
gonna
to
have
find
to like keep
out,
their cool?
and that's exactly what's going
How
to
is the
happen.
dad gonna react?
I don't
Also,
know.
it depends on what circumstances they meet each other.
I think that they're going to be seen as two stray children that have got caught wandering through the woods.
Oh, yeah, that's probably
Yeah, that's probably what it's going to be. It's going to be like, oh my god, why are these children just in the woods by
Yes.
themselves?
Come
in.
and have some food. Have you
Let me
met
tell you about my daughter who was murdered recently.
by a child soldier. Who are you? Well, anyways, what's your background? They're in the forest at one point. Zeke is also in a forest, and I think the redwoods look a little bit similar. Could they have an interaction with Zeke at some point if they're in the same area?
I think potentially that's what it could be leading to. It's oh gosh, this is like season 2 or 3 information that I have to dig in, but I'm trying to remember if Sasha's village was located at redwoods or redwoods adjacent, because it was in a wooded area.
Because she was a hunter.
Yeah, and that's why she's such a good marksman. But yeah, it's got to be one or the other. I think it would be very convenient for the plot to be for the redwoods to be at least attached to that forest and be
Right.
adjacent, because eventually we do need to get our characters within the same space to wrap up whatever this arc is going to be.
Yeah, I have faith that they're gonna do it. They've been killing it every week. Even the slow burns are setting up something mean to a big explosion that's gonna be the finale.
May or may not have cried during the sunset conversation.
Oh, you big old softy.
I was such a. It's a really sad conversation, and everyone was being so good. And I love these characters, and so did Eren.
Well, let us know if you cried down in the comment section down below. And hey, while you're at it, go ahead and give us a like and subscribe to the channel, because like I said, we post videos every week, so you'll always have a reason to come on back. If you like this, you should also check out our other podcast, Return of the Movie, which we post on Spotify, Amazon Music, and we post it here on YouTube. So if you like this, check that out. Lastly, we are covering WandaVision on 2FAST2MOVIE with our other hosts, Kenny and Jose. So check them out here on the channel. It's a fun, grand old time if you like comic book stuff. Thank you so much for listening, guys. As always, it's 2FAST2MOVIE.